Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to everybody in Facebook world for hanging out with me today. And thank you to everybody in YouTube world for hanging out with me. And thank you to my people in the webinar who have registered to ask me questions, to participate. Raise your hand if any of you want to come in as a panelist. I would love to see your face, and I can definitely turn it on. So if you want to be a panelist or you have any questions, you're in webinar world, let me know. If you haven't, if you're not receiving invitations to the webinars, then definitely email me at jb@afroeconomics.com or jb@jbbryan.com. So definitely let me know, because I love having your feedback. I also have everybody in Facebook world. Sometimes the technology will let me down, but so far so good. We're good. So check out AfroEconomics with JB Bryan on Facebook as well. I have 10 tips for you today. Just like AfroEconomics has 10 principles, I have 10 tips for what I want to encourage you to talk with your children, your young people, your niece, your nephew, your child, any young person. I think that these are some good things for us to think about. So make sure you share this video, like this video. If you have any questions, let me know. Or things that I can add to the video, please let me know, because I try to narrow it down to 10 things, but I want those 10 things to be really things that really can make a difference. So I said, let me kind of start with what we should think about early on in our child's life. What should we be thinking about? Well, how about that old piggy bank that is disappearing from a child's life, but actually we should make sure that the babies are still getting the piggy banks, that they're still getting a chance to see the accumulation of small amounts of money over time, that they see that they can make a difference, that they can add to it. I know that Miss Edwards will agree. She raised 3 girls that she's hanging out in the webinar today, that it is important that the kids see the money grow over time. And then what happens is that they can actually look. Miss Edwards said yes, because that what happens is when they decide that they want to spend money, you can make them go to that piggy bank before they get into the whole bank account age and all elaborate and everything. Let's keep it in the basics that start them with visually seeing the money and spending their money. A second point was for us to use cash in front of them more often. And it's so true, because sometimes they see us like that. They see us like just using these cards and swiping these cards, and they don't get that there's money that had to be put in the bank in order to use that card. So bring the money first, bring the money forward. Let them see you spend the money. Let them see you spend the $5. Let them see you spend the $10. Let them see you get change. Let them get an understanding of change. Because I was in a store the other day, and the young people were running it, and their systems were down. They said, we're only taking cash. And I said, okay, because I made a point to make sure that I have cash. So I said, okay, well, I got cash. So like getting, the purchase, and I said, you can keep the change, because you can tell that counting back the change, I don't even know if they had a calculator, I guess, because people's register has become their calculator, but they were not sure on how to count back the change. So, definitely getting them a head start on the mental math, that is very important. I know that I was just telling my daughter that she's getting better and better with the mental math. Like, I have to make a point to ask her questions about certain things. We're riding down the road, and it will say that this particular commercial property is such and such a square foot. Like, it may be $100 each square foot. And then I'll ask her, well, how much does it cost for that space? And she's like, what? Because it's like a $10,000 square foot space, and if it's $100 per square foot, like how much, so we're just getting them to think about, use that mental math and using money and what money is and how numbers work and how money works, is very important. So use cash in front of them, help them gravitate and understand and build their confidence in mental math. A third point is explain to them that nothing is free. So allowing them early on to use that money out of that piggy bank, that when they say, I want so-and-so, and they're understanding that the money is coming from somewhere, and that understanding that nothing is free. The earlier in their life, the better, when you can explain to them that everything costs money. So if they empty the bank, I have down there that emptying the bank, that forces them to have to start all over. Then they can see, that when you buy this, that you want this, that you have to spend all of this, and then you have to start all over. So if they're earlier in life that they realize that, the better. And then as they're moving into their teenage years, I suggest a fourth point would be to explain to them the give and take. And while you're explaining to them that there's the give and take of everything, you open a bank account. In those teen years, it's important for you to open up a joint bank account for them that they would later, of course, I have that, later in maybe around their senior year, that can become their account. So you're opening up a bank account that will be a joint account. And then you're explaining to them, if you want to do this, or if you want to buy that particular item, then you're going to have to give up this, or you're going to have to save for this amount of time. So that would be a key there, is to really just start. And the fourth step is just setting goals and saving for things and thinking about things and the give and take of everything. So, and the time that will take in order to acquire this thing. So I guess you would be teaching them about the delayed gratification. You're right? Right, Ms. Randolph? Thanks for hanging out with us. But delayed gratification, is a major tool. I know there was a study that was done, and it was shown that young people, they were doing this with like babies that were like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old. And they were asked, they showed that the children who were able to delay their gratification, they said, if you will wait and eat these 2 marshmallows later, then I will give you 4 marshmallows. And then some of them, they could not wait. They had to eat, whatever it was right now. And then they showed that there was a connection between the success of the young people who learned about delayed gratification versus and I think it's called the marshmallow study. You can Google it. But and that the ones who understood delayed gratification early in life were the ones that were more successful as adults. That's interesting, but they followed them all the way through. And so teaching your children about that delayed gratification, the earlier the better, is a blessing. A fifth point is to explain entrepreneurship. Explain to them, like, I became an entrepreneur because I wasn't old enough to get a job yet. So I decided that I wanted to deliver newspapers. Then I started cleaning up people's houses. The entrepreneurship became a requirement for me in order to have my own money in my pocket. So they explain to them, the give and the take, the joys of entrepreneurship, that you don't have to, really wait for someone else to give you a job, or they might not say that you're ready to have a job, but you actually can. I'm gonna close down one of my windows so I can see. Now, definitely, if you all have any questions, thank you so much for hanging out in the webinar today. I really appreciate it. But that entrepreneurship should be introduced to us. Now, all of my parents were educators, so they weren't thinking about entrepreneurship. The mere fact that I wanted to go down and clean people's houses because I wanted to make my own money irritated my parents. They were both working, at HBCUs, and they were like, what in the world? So they immediately said, well, if you're going to be that grown, and y'all talk about this in the book, you're going to go, then you're going to spend your own money too. So then I realized that, hey, being financially independent doesn't always work out for you. But it did allow me to have my own and not have that. I always wanted to just be able to buy what I wanted, to create my own vision of what I wanted. Because my mother was like, no, you're gonna buy this, and that's what I'm buying because I'm paying for it. So I said, I'm gonna get around that. I'm going to create my own money. And so I just started doing it, you know, somehow. And then who can refuse a child going and making money? I wasn't going and playing around, I was going. So I guess they said, we're not gonna stop her, but her punishment will be that she will buy everything she needs. So I immediately started buying my back to school clothes, buying my own school lunch, buying my own things. But I think that has a big part, that played a big part in where I am today. I had to, you know, because I had to do it, that I enjoyed that independence. And I realized that as an entrepreneur, there is a give and take. So to whom much is given, much is required. So I believe that a fifth point is to introduce our children to entrepreneurship, introduce them to taking their entrepreneurship spirit into the workplace when they get a job. I remember my first job was at McDonald's, you know, and at McDonald's, I learned so much about operating businesses and how they carried themselves and how they were particular about measuring out everything. They would, you know, I had one particular manager that would weigh every pack of French when we put the French fries together, because I like to put a whole bunch of French fries in there, especially when my friends come in, you know. So if he was there, he'd be like, this is how, you know, we weigh them on the scale, and you weigh the pack, you know, but you don't see that, you know, as like you used to. I don't know, but they probably have another way of regulating how much goes into the French fry pack. But we were actually weighing. He was not playing. But they have several other McDonald's. Same owner one time saw me, and he had stores, you know, many more McDonald's stores that he's running now. So, you know, it works. It works. But I take that into my life as being an entrepreneur. I remember going through one of his drive-through windows, and he was in there managing. He said, look at how successful she is. She used to work for me. You know, that was, you know, funny. Made me feel proud. But I owe just as much to him as his pride is for me, because of his a commitment to excellence and being profitable and not having unnecessary expenses and making sure that the employees were doing the right thing. You know, he's still in business and I'm still in business over 20 years later. So that's over 20 years of starting my business. When I worked for him, whoo, that's been a long time. Goodness gracious. So he was really young when I was working for him. That's amazing. So definitely, let's look at a sixth point. A sixth point is to encourage our young. Ms. Cotman said, I've been trying to educate my daughter for the past decade. Hopefully one day she'll get it. Yes, indeed. One day when you're not looking, they will get it. And next thing you know, you'll hear her telling other people about what you said. But you are indeed, I think that it is very important. And this discussion made me, because I just did this morning on the Virginia This Morning show on CBS, and I briefly introed this discussion. And but in researching this and leading up to this week, I just, you know, really thought about, wow, like we can set up these accounts for our kids, get real excited about what we've set up for our kids, but our kids really learning what they have is scary, you know, because we're not teaching them. I know that I have not done a good job on explaining. And this has encouraged me that I said, I'm going to sit down with my daughter, look at her statements with her, and explain to her exactly what she has. And I think that truly is empowerment, and I have to do it. Not just setting it up for my own ego's sake, but to actually empower her, because we don't know how long we'll be here. I remember this morning, I almost got in this major car accident, and it was like my whole life went past me. And I realized then, I was like, wow, that is how fragile life is. And I'm just so grateful to be here, but it was amazing. I knew that if that had happened the way I saw it happen, how it was coming to me, that someone was just about to run right into me, and I swerved just in a second's time. And you know, it lets you realize that we have to educate them every day that we're here, because we don't know how long we will be here to teach them. So teach them now. Teach them now. So so in addition to the first, let me just summarize. The first point is piggy banking, using cash in front of them, explaining that nothing is free, setting goals, teaching them how to set up goals, setting up that first bank account, teaching them that it's a give and take, the delayed gratification. A fifth point, explaining entrepreneurship and that movement towards having their first job and making it something that they're really getting something from, not just money, but getting something real from, really gaining some good skills, a good positive experience. And the sixth point is to encourage service and giving back to the community of themselves, and giving back through the money that they're saving. Realize the importance of giving and sharing, and how what they do for someone else actually can have a huge butterfly effect, that it can help so many people, the smallest effort that they put out to make the world a better place for someone else. So encouraging service and encouraging donations and encouraging contributions and encouraging community involvement is a big part of teaching them money management and integrity. And a seventh point is for your high schoolers, as we're moving gradually into the high school stage, is that now you're getting them into their own account and understanding their own account. They're about to graduate. They're moving into college. They're going into those college areas, or they're going straight from learning a trade and into the workplace. And then, so now it's about getting their own, understanding that that account is now theirs, and now they are responsible for that. Now they have to keep an eye on it even more. But you've taught them this in the earlier years, right? So we're coming forward, teaching them about why they have to keep everything intact, why they have to be accountable, why they need to make sure that all of their documents are organized, that they're looking at that app from their bank checking account regularly, right? So then an eighth point is to encourage them to not just spend your money, but to earn their own money. As I was saying about even before working on my own, that I was making my own money, but that they encourage them to make their own money, to realize how important it is to develop their own, to have their own, to not just because too often, and I know that this happened to me, and I was working. I was, to what I thought was independent, but I remember going to college and it hitting me in my face that I had a lifestyle that was established by my parents, not by me, that was the lifestyle that they had, that I had inherited. So definitely I'm trying to make sure that all our friends on Facebook, if they are making comments, someone said that their niece needs to be viewing this. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. As he said, I always tell young people, you can't spend it twice. No, and we cannot live twice either. So encourage them to earn their own money, and to make sure that they're responsible spenders. And now, because at this point, their money is in their own name. That's their account. So we want to realize that they're earning their own now, and they could be earning their own through doing work for you, but they have to earn it. Make sure that if you ask them to do something for you and they don't do it, don't just dish it out. And I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself, because I know that everybody that loves me, that's listening, knows that I'm not the best disciplinarian, but I'm working on that. But when we said, when we're not getting the results that we want, or not getting, things that you require to be done, or and then they haven't earned that, then you don't get that. So, but my family is not about allowance, so I'm not about allowance. So if I'm not getting what I want, I do I do try to make a point of, no, I can't do this. You can't do this because you haven't earned this based on this. So, and we need to do that because that's the way life is. Like, you can't live in a mansion. I tell my daughter all the time, like, you know, I know that you say that you want this, like, you know, she likes luxury. She loves luxury. She looks at all this stuff on TV and she loves it. And I go, yeah. And that's people who do their homework, who practice every day, who do, you know, who do what they have to do in order to create that type of lifestyle. You can have that. Yeah, I don't think that we should ever tell them that they can't have something just because it's not their current life. It's not our current life. You know, that we can have these things, but it's going to require these type of steps in order to do it. And so a ninth point is to explain budgeting and money management. They asked me this morning in an interview, the host said, like, what do you think is the #1 thing that we need to make sure that young people learn? And I said, budgeting and good money management, because it reduces stress in not just our lives, but it's going to reduce the stress in our young people's lives too. And of course, they learn the most by the example that we set. So definitely, you know, making sure that they understand budgeting, because now they have this account and they have to learn that, you know, these are the expenses that they have. So if they said that they wanted to a Netflix membership, you know, and then they, you know, then that's going to cost them this amount every month, and you can help them make sure that they have that amount of money available in their account at that particular time when that is going to be taken out. So being very careful with budgeting and money management and teaching them to live within their means is a powerful, powerful tool. Ed said he agrees with me. Ed is on here. How you doing, Ed? And he said, budget, budget, budget. Yes, indeed. Look, Ed, you only have to budget for things that you want. So if you want to have that particular thing, look, if you want your Netflix to turn on and be on, then you got to do it. The same thing is when mom and dad, if they want that car and they want that house and they want that, then they have to make sure that that money is there, because it will catch up with you. And so my final point is, teach them the dangers of materialism and showing off and creating a fake picture of themselves through debt. And I think that many things, you know, that we can do that with many things. Like, you can have almost anything and not really actually have it. Like, you can have a TV and the TV, you don't really own it. The TV can be owned still by Best Buy on the payment plan that you're having. I said, like, the best thing that credit card owners could do is to actually collect on the items in which they actually allowed you to buy. So instead of them like when they get mad and do charge-offs or things like that, shouldn't even be allowed. What they should actually do is make you turn it in. If you put on that credit card, shoes, shirt, dress, food, or, you know, I guess food could get turned in, but whatever they use on that card, then it should be turned in. If it's something that is not perishable, it should be turned in. You bought that TV, turn it in. You bought that coat, turn it in. Like, get it back. Wouldn't that be dramatic? But people would stop doing it. They would stop doing it because, you know, it's such a challenge to teach young people when they see their parents doing these things. So we have to learn that we lead by the example that we set. We have to teach them that it's not okay for things to not be paid. It's not okay for them to not be able to pick up the telephone because the bill hasn't been paid. Like, that is setting a really bad example for them. Too many people are now putting debts in their children's name, messing up their child's credit before the child even has a chance to build credit for themselves. Yes, budget, budget, budget. A budget makes it easier for me to see where the excess waste is, so I can fix it, and channel these excess into savings. Exactly, Ed. Ed has done it again. Yes, indeed, it does. It allows you to see exactly what you're spending on what. And then It allows you to say, I want to change this. If you can't see what you're doing, then you can't change it. So we need to, and a good way to structure or set up your budget or see where, because the only reason people have a credit card balance, you know, Ms. Edwards, only reason people have credit card balances is, and I know you will agree, is that because they're buying things they can't really afford. Right, Ed? You know, you can't have it. Marshall said it too. You can't have it unless, you know, you can't have a credit card balance unless you're living beyond your means. The mere fact that we have these debts is because you're living beyond your means. And there's a question here. It says, that's the problem. The parents are the drunk leading the blind. That's right. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, because you're only, you know, and many kids are limited to only being good as the example that's been set for them. In the state of Virginia, they've now incorporated a personal finance class as a requirement. Just like gym, you have to pass a personal finance class in order to complete high school in Virginia. And I think that that is a good move, because some of them, you know, that might be the best example that they set. I know I was telling a friend of mine, she was saying that my daughter got these bad money habits. She was saying that she got the habits from her. I said, but at the same time, you should know that you are a master at making things happen. You know, so I said, so you did teach her the tool of how to make ends meet with little means. I said, now she has to have a lot of means and take that same tool that you gave her and act like she has a little. If we can continue to live, as I said when I finished college, I said, if I can live like I was in college, now that I'm out of college making money, imagine how much money I could save and invest. That's a great idea for Virginia schools. Many kids are never taught in the home, so they take on their parents' bad habits unknowingly. Exactly, Ms. Edwards agrees. Yes, indeed. So it is a good idea, and I think that this discussion, please share it with people that have young people. I hope that these 10 points kind of brought them home. In summary, I'm encouraging the piggy bank. I'm encouraging us to use cash in front of our children. Explain to them that nothing is free, that teenagers, we need to be opening up their first bank accounts and teach them about delayed gratification and that there's a give and a take. Explain entrepreneurship to them, encourage service and giving and how what you do can make the world a better place. A 7th point is that for older children, is to now allow them to manage that account when they're old enough. If the bank will allow them to have the account at 18, allow them to have the checking account. Now it's their account. Take your name off and allow them to start earning some deposits. Encourage them to earn their own money, to start looking at opportunities that are out there. As I said in the 5th one about learning about entrepreneurship, that's about discovering where their interests are, discovering if they take a job at some point, what type of job will prepare them for their areas of interest. And then explaining budgeting. The 9th point is to explain budgeting and money management to them. Budget, 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 as our friend Ed said. And then teach them the dangers of materialism, my final point. Teach them the dangers of high interest rate credit cards, high interest rate school loans. Many of these school loans have double-digit interest rates on those personal school loans. Be very careful. Sometimes you might want to go to a particular school, but in reality, it might actually be materialism. Because if you want the degree, you should focus on the degree, the knowledge, the information, where to get the skill, but not on that this particular name, if it's going to cost you and you're going to have to go into some unnecessary high interest in order to get that. So focus on the knowledge, not on the name and where you get it. And then it says, don't be material. I'm saying my final point. So don't be materialistic, avoid high interest rate, credit, debt, and even if it's high interest school loans, be very careful. Realize that those have to be the first things that have to be paid off if you find that you have to have these high interest rate debts. And don't create, learn not to create, avoid creating a fake picture of who you are by going into debt. Don't imitate that behavior that we see all over the world. So be yourself and be true to you. I make sure I answer all my questions before. Now see if I can get Facebook to come up again. Miss Jude says, let's see what Miss Jude says. She says, so many parents are giving their kids things they never had instead of giving them what they had. Discipline with finances. Having what you need, not what you want. Focusing on reading, not the TV. They wouldn't have time to focus on these crazy desires of feeling entitlement. And the truth, she says, kids aren't taught work to earn enough in the home. Yes, indeed, they aren't being taught to earn and to work, and the relationship between work and earning. And then my dad always told us the lights, water, heat, air would never be turned off because those things come first. I'm fortunate to see my parents. I was fortunate to see them budget and save. I know that's right. That is Miss Jude. Yes, you did. Yes, indeed. You are right. Thank you for sharing those comments. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Edwards. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Marshall Hicks. Thank you so much. And I appreciate y'all. Oh, we got some more Q&A on here. I appreciate y'all. That's the problem. The parents are drunk leading the blind. We got that. Definitely. We know we got to lead by example. With family members to start with the parents or the children. With family members, do you start with the parents or the children? Do you start with the parents or the children? With family members, I'll say start with the parents. Start with the parents. And make sure that the parents, make sure that you get the knowledge to the parents and let them know how important their example is and how their example is impacting their young people. And then we get on to the children, and then we hopefully share this. Feel free to share this with the child, that so that if they'll sit down and watch it, definitely share it with them. We teach to not buy any more on the credit card than you pay off each month. Exactly. We definitely have to make sure that if we spend it on the credit card, that you can pay it off at the end of the month. And then you realize that that can become a bad habit too, because you can spend your entire income. You can spend your entire income on the credit card. So then when your check comes in, you don't have any money, you have to go back and put everything on the credit card again. So it can be a really bad cycle. So, just put something on there if that's the only way to have to pay for it, I guess, and use your debit cards all the other times, but if you have to put something on the credit card, realize that that bill is coming due really quickly. Yes, indeed. So some very, very, very good points that you all shared. And I'm going to thank you so much. I'm going to check through and make sure that everybody on Facebook is cool. Everything is great. Please share this video with your friends and look for this on AfroEconomics with JB Bryan on YouTube. Check out AE members. Go to AfroEconomics, but check out AEmembersonly.com, or you can go to AfroEconomics.com and click on through right there. Then get information about membership. Email me, jb@jbbryan.com, and we can talk about the family membership if that's important to you. Ms. Cotman said, congrats on the book. Thank you. I hope that you all will take advantage of the book. And the book is available to you. And when you join your membership, you get a free ebook copy. And that you also get ebook copies that you can download or view it on your right on your computer for the workbook as well. So I look forward to it. And then in the fall, we're going to be having our workshops again. in person. So definitely let's continue to stay tuned for these Wednesday webinars. I want to make sure that everything is convenient for you. Most important thing is making empowerment convenient. AfroEconomics is about making sure you get the knowledge. That's important. Y'all have a wonderfully blessed day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you. I am JB Bryan, the President and Chief Investment Officer at JB Bryan Financial Group, the home of AfroEconomics in Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and New York. Please don't hesitate to give me a call at any time, 1-844-JB Bryan. God bless y'all.